pretty big week in terms of macro themes, and to help us make sense of it all, Peter McGuire from XM joins us now. Hey Pete, nice to see you to start this Monday as usual. Talk to us about where your focus is as this Asian session starts to gain traction.
Starts to crank up. Good morning, Nadine. Yeah, good to see you as well. Look, I'll tell you what, the way the US equities ended Friday night, I thought that was a very positive tone. And as you mentioned, Memorial Weekend, so it's a 3-day break. And I think that will add, I'd say, a little bit of horsepower. I'm looking at where China sits today and, of course, where the Nikkei trades. And we've had a nice, as you said, just, early, only a couple of minutes in, but it's a positive tone. And I think that the first couple of days we'll see some move and a nice little move to the upside. That's what I'm thinking. And I don't think a lot of headwind at the moment in the short term, maybe something later in the week, but short term, yeah, probably time to be a bit bullish.
Okay, well, we do, as I mentioned, get data from China today. What are we expecting, and how could that color sentiment as well, Pete?
Well, I mean, if you're looking first off, Nadine, I look at the Chinese stock market and it's had a very strong rally to the upside since really Lunar New Year when you think where the CSI 300 was. So it's had fairly strong growth, and I think that will continue over this summer period. If I'm looking at PMIs, look, they're a little bit shaky, but it's certainly a lot better than where they were, Nadine, in the sense going back to 22 and the early part of 23. That chart says it all, but I feel as though you're going to see a continued uplift. Property sector's got some, it's still got that anemic sort of feel about it, but the overall thoughts going into China has got to be more upside than downside, and I think it's moving along okay.
All right. And then when we get to some of the key data that we're expecting out, it's all about inflation. But that's a good thing because we need to know as much about inflation as we possibly can at this stage, given where we sit with rates. So where will your focus be? I mean, we've got European, we've got Japanese inflation, but we also have that US PCE.
Exactly. I'm looking at that. I want to see where the PCE comes in. Japanese inflation, I'm not too overly worried. I think you'll see another rate rise, but it'll only be, 0.1%. And I think that'll be in the second semester of this year. As far as US, hopefully it's going to be a little bit softer, Nadine. That's what everyone's thinking. And, if we're looking at March figures, they held at 2.8% year on year. So we're looking at just to cool down a little bit from there as far as US inflation and moving in the right direction. Rate cuts, everyone's saying, it's a 60% probability you're going to see September, and 36 basis points is where everyone's saying is the number by the end of the year. You've also got to be mindful, is it a political game? And that's where the POMs have sat on the sidelines due to rate cuts because of election. They've got to be careful what they do in the States. September's very close to that 5th of November election day.
All right, so we've got lots on tap in terms of economic data. Peter, what about oil? Oil remains under pressure. Where is it headed?
Well, it's choppy, Nadine. It's been sold off. I think all of that hot air, that certainly the risk premium came out of it. As far as big strategies in place, geopolitical and so on, it's fairly quiet at the moment, and it seems to be, holding around that $80, $81 level, 82 for Brent. WTI is a few bucks cheaper, and I think that over the, unless you see something dramatic happen in June as far as geopolitics or more consumption or something out of the box that's really going to change from the demand picture or disruptions, then I think it's going to stay at this sort of level for the short term. But as you know, it's an incredibly volatile commodity, and that can change in a heartbeat.
Yeah, absolutely. You would know that very well. Gold, is that just profit taking? Because we did see gold, coming under pressure last week.
Well, yeah, I think 24.50, and then all the hot air came out of it, Nadine. It was stripped out, but I think it was just overbought. And it's not uncommon to see the shorts come in and they ride it down, and they rode it down hard. I've got the market at the moment. You're sitting at that 23.50 sort of level, 23.60. I think it'll come back up. There's no doubting that. Probably over this week, I wouldn't be surprised. Have a look at US dollar. That also strengthened. So that was the other side of the trade. US dollar strengthened, gold came off, silver came off. So I'm expecting both of those to have a little bit of a rally to the upside by end of month.